My name is Luda Okajima. I am a 29-year-old working professional for a prominent international company. I was born and raised in the United States until I was 18, and I am half Japanese and half white. My father works as the head of the company we work for, located in the States. I was tutored as a child and learned to speak 5 languages by the time I was in kindergarten, and so I found my way as the head of the company located in Japan to this present day. I owe it all to my dad's influence and the education he was able to provide for me. I respected my mother's traditional values and agreed upon an arranged marriage. My husband is 6 years older than me, and his name is Akinari. We got married knowing that love was never the foundation of what started our union. We started living together, and I noticed the little things that seemed to bother him. The laundry is dirty, I need it washed. Our conversations are usually surface level, given our situation. Sorry, I've been busy with all of my work emails this week. Not an excuse, hun. I'm busy as well. All wives work these days and can still manage to maintain their household. He was very adamant about our roles and responsibilities. I am a hard and loyal worker, but cohabitating is new to me. I was trying my best to adjust to this. You're just standing there drinking coffee right now. What does that have to do with anything? Drinking coffee is what gets me going. I'm preparing myself for the day. Mind your business. Akinari has been this way since we got married. He probably doesn't really love me either. He pointed out that I was homeschooled, so I was more than capable of housework. Fine, yes, I am more than capable to do the housework. You knew that from the start. You're so self-centered for someone who never got a proper education. This household runs because of me. Remember that. We lived in a 4-bedroom single-family home. His dream was to buy and own a home, so we got a loan from the bank and got approved. It wasn't a priority of mine, but he implied that it's just a manly accomplishment, and I wouldn't get it. We didn't ask each other about what we did for work. We weren't really that interested. Education isn't everything in life, I simply stated. Are you testing me? You're going to minimize my education? The husband is supposed to be the breadwinner, and the wife is supposed to quietly follow behind his shadow. And you have a thick accent. People can't even understand you over here. We're in Japan. He scolded me for anything and everything. I was born and raised in the US. Of course, my Japanese isn't going to sound natural. My mother tried her best to help me with the diction and pronunciations. I spoke 5 different languages. I know I'm not going to sound like I'm a native from Japan because I'm not. My husband didn't know this about me, so he assumed I was just dumb. I'm off to do the laundry. I had the day off and Akinari would be leaving for work in an hour. He's a huge germaphobe and often reminded me by saying, "You need to wipe the toilet seat with bleach after every use." He watched me like a hawk to make sure I cleaned and wiped down everything after each use. When we first started living together, I remember I would walk into the house with my shoes on, which is normal for anyone who lives in America. He immediately resounded with, "Are you white or are you Japanese? Don't be gross like everyone in America. Take your shoes off." In my head, I huffed, "I am white. I'm half white." He was just anal about being clean. He was never without hand sanitizer, wipes, or disinfectant. And at home, he made me feel like I was the messiest person on earth. I'm sorry for the germs. I would apologize and wipe things down daily and after everything I did. Honestly, it was annoying. As I started loading the washer, I thought I heard him call for me. So I went to see what he needed. "Did you call for me?" He quickly said, "I did, but you took way too long to come. Clearly, you're just testing my patience." "I couldn't hear you. I told you I was doing laundry, and the washing machine is so loud." I was being honest and explaining that to him. "You couldn't hear over the washer? Are you deaf? You're pathetic. This is why people without a degree will never make anything of themselves." My husband loved to point out my background whenever he could. I couldn't finish my degree in the US because my father had to switch jobs at the time. As soon as we settled in Japan, I had to earn a degree in order to get a job. I passed the entrance exam at a community college willing to accept me, and I earned my degree there. That school just so happened to be a college known in the area for failures and dropouts. My husband earned his degree from the University of Tokyo. Being from America, it's not like I knew that meant it was such a huge deal. I only found out after we got married that it's the best university in Japan. But I don't care about things like that. I think the value of someone is more than just their degree. Is it really that bad that I studied and graduated from a community college? What about everyone else in Japan who went there? Is that how you think of them too? I was beginning to question his morals. What's wrong with being a graduate from a community college? There are plenty of capable people in the world, regardless of which university they graduate from. Even in my company today, there are people with only high school diplomas, and they are doing just fine. I wonder why he's so caught up with the look of things. You're helpless. In Japan, we value education. You should know that by now. You work here. Someone without a decent education is practically useless here. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Oh, and you went to the University of Tokyo, right? Isn't that the best education anyone could receive? The University of Tokyo. Ha! Yeah, it's incredible. I can't help but laugh because you don't even know just how impressive it is. I'm embarrassed that I married someone who isn't as smart as I am. If it weren't for the fact that my mom just so happened to know your mom, I wouldn't have gone through with this marriage. Someone like you does not deserve someone like me. He tends to talk a lot about himself and always redirects it to what I'm lacking that he isn't. He likes to make me feel inferior. In my opinion, people like him should be the least worthy of succeeding at their jobs. But strangely enough, having his educational background was enough to allow him to succeed. Even though I couldn't understand where he was coming from, I told him, I understand. Someone like me doesn't deserve to be with someone as smart as you. Whatever. You just need to do what I tell you to do. I am an alumni of the University of Tokyo, so I will teach you. Just don't do anything yourself. He has a big ego and likes to be in control. I can't even try to slightly disagree because he will always have the last say. All right, it's about time to go to work. Akinari packed his suitcase without finishing his coffee and was out the door. I looked at the table and started to clean up. Isn't this table clean enough? I muttered to myself. 3 hours after my husband left for work, I received a call. Hello. What? With a subcontractor? I got it. I'll be there as soon as I can. My firm called me about an error they found in an order with a subcontractor. I work for a construction company. The subcontractors failed to deliver the materials we needed in time for our next project, which meant that the project's start date would be delayed. And if it couldn't get any worse, the materials we need them from are being shipped from overseas. This is critical, both in terms of schedule and cost. We'll probably have to pay extra and the construction will be delayed. It was supposed to be my day off, but work needs me. By the time I arrived, everyone was preoccupied with something. And as soon as I came into the office, I met with the team. I needed to look at the project's invoices and materials. I highlighted the materials being used and assigned priority to the buildings that would begin construction. I managed to come up with a plan for the construction to be scheduled to begin next week. But I knew it wasn't over just yet. If the other extra materials don't come in on time, then other future construction projects will also be affected. Usually, the subcontractor was supposed to handle matters like this. After a long day, I finally came home from work on what was supposed to be my day off. I laid in bed and quickly passed out. Luda! Luda! I heard my name and quickly woke up. Oh, I'm so sorry. I passed out. I wasn't really sorry, but Akinari was judging me anyway. You're so privileged. You have a day off and can't even make your husband dinner and you just sleep instead. I just woke up and he was already starting with this. I'm sorry, I had to go into work actually. There was a situation. I explained to him what happened, and he responded, What kind of incompetent company calls its employees on a day off? I had a tough day today too, you know. He wanted his problems to be more important. Maybe he couldn't accept the fact that his wife was a better employee than he was. It could be his ego and pride from being an alumni of the University of Tokyo. Since I knew better and was used to his reactions by now, I just tuned him out. Wait, it's 8 o'clock? I picked up the clock next to the bed and screamed. I've been asleep for 5 hours since I got home from work today. The laundry I loaded this morning was still in the washer, and I had to make dinner. All of the things I had to do suddenly caught up to me. Yeah, so what are you waiting for? First, make dinner. Then you can clean the tub. After that, do the laundry and the rest of the cleaning. There was a piece of your hair on the floor. It's filthy. Not only was he still going, but he was even more furious because I had fallen asleep. He never helped with anything around the house since the day we got married, and he isn't going to start now. He told me what I needed to do, and he walked into the living room. I jumped out of bed, washed my face, and started dinner. As dinner was about to be ready, Akinari got a call from work. "It's me. This again? Just keep a low profile for now. Don't talk to them about anything, not a single thing. If they find out, we'll be the ones getting sued, and I'm the one that will be the most affected. Be aware." And he quickly hung up the phone. "Who was that? Work? Did you say something about getting sued? Is something happening?" I already knew something was happening because I overheard his conversation, but he didn't admit to anything. "Please, relax. It doesn't concern you. Even if there was a problem, your little brain wouldn't be able to do anything about it." Ha! I wasn't expecting him to come back at me with an insult. I angrily ignored him and just focused on getting through dinner. "I'm going to the office," he suddenly decided. He quickly got up and grabbed his phone and wallet. I didn't get a chance to ask him why he was leaving, because he was already walking out the door. When I turned back around, I realized his suitcase was left behind. A clear file was sticking out of the bag. What is this? When I picked it up and looked at it, it said, "Okadera Mountain Resort Hotel Construction Plan Details." This is... I felt a shock run through my spine. I quickly took a picture of the file and papers with my phone as evidence. After putting everything back the way I found it, I was furious. Akinari came back just before midnight. I heard the front door. "I'm back," I heard him announce. Then I heard him starting to walk into the living room. "Welcome back," I said to him. "First, I need food." He demanded his dinner. I simply said, "I didn't make it." What did you just say? You didn't make dinner?" "Yeah, I had something more important to do." He raised his voice. "You're giving me excuses again? Do you know how much time you've had? There's only so much incompetence someone can take. That's why I can't stand you community college people. I don't even care if we divorce at this point." He sounded completely serious. He's someone who believes in a patriarchy. It's always his way or the highway. Finally, I snapped back, having enough. "Okay, then please, let's get a divorce." He didn't expect that response from me. What? He was confused, and I didn't hesitate to continue. "You've been making me feel dumb and telling me I'm not as smart as you. But that's far from the truth." My sharp words left him wondering. "What do you mean by that?" "I don't care about school, so I just kept this a secret. But I actually used to attend Harvard University." Do you know what Harvard University is?" I could tell he was shocked. I knew, based on who he was, that this is something even he knew was impressive. But before I knew it, he huffed, "You're lying. Harvard University? That's not even possible. You're from Japan." "Oh, didn't your mother tell you? I was born and raised in the US and I lived there until I was 18. "You what? What did you just say?" Akinari looked like he was in pain. His ego was definitely shot down hearing this news. He was so proud of earning a degree from the best university in Japan, but this reminded him that there were even more impressive and prestigious universities that existed, and he knew that Harvard was no joke. "You're messing with me. There is no way in hell I believe that." He started to become disrespectful. "Are your feelings hurt? You have nothing to say but inappropriate things. I guess the University of Tokyo isn't that great after all." I didn't think I had that in me. "My feelings aren't hurt. I just need proof. Show me the proof." He just needs to see it for himself to believe it. So I showed him a photo of me I took at freshman year orientation. "Do you know how to read English? The sign says Harvard Don't mock me! I can read that!" And he went to study the photo himself. "Do you believe me now? Why did you keep this from me? If I knew this, I would have never married you." If you had known. Do you really need to be smarter than your wife? Just to keep your own ego? And your mom really never said anything? Both of our parents know who we are. Well, I didn't bother to ask either. It didn't matter to me. Me, trying to keep my own ego? No. He didn't want to admit to it, and he continued. "And no, my mom didn't tell me anything." "And what do you mean you didn't care? That means you weren't interested in me at all in the first place. He started to act like the victim. Isn't it low of you to look down on people based on their education? I know I don't seem like it, but I can speak 5 languages: English, Japanese, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. How many can you speak? You graduated from the University of Tokyo, and you're so smart. Tell me, can you talk to me in a different language? What does smart mean to you anyway? What's so impressive about the University of Tokyo? I started to tease him. He started sweating. 5 languages? Really? Why would someone like you go to that community college then? It's like you did it to mess with me. And don't even start. I am superior to everyone else because I went to the University of Tokyo. He stubbornly clung to his claims. Clearly, where he went to school was very understandably to be respected and impressive in his eyes. I wanted to keep going, and I could tell in his eyes he was frustrated. It's because you judge people based on where they studied. You get what you deserve if you judge people based on just that. It's more valuable to have someone who can genuinely work well, regardless of their background. That's why I'm the vice president of my company. He struggled to find the words as he was processing this. As far as he knew until now, he was always on a level above me in life. It seemed to shift things into a different perspective for him. Forget it. I have something more serious I need to talk to you about. I needed to get back to the main issue at hand. I knew the conversation was leading to planning out the divorce, but there was something else I needed to handle first. You need to talk to me about something more important than this? Akinari was shocked, wondering what else I even had to say. I handed him the file I found earlier. Tell me what this is. Before he could finish, I answered for him. This is the detailed plan for the Okadera Mountain Resort Hotel construction project. I know it was the special project he was working on at work. How did you? I saw it sticking out of your bag, so I looked. You looked at my private work files? Do you know how important this is? If this ever got in the wrong hands. What? Are you afraid of being sued by my company and having the truth exposed? Is that what would happen if it ever got in the wrong hands? Akinari was speechless. He looked at me wide-eyed. We have both been too uninvolved with each other. That document is a joint construction project agreement and contract between my company and yours. See where it says cooperating company and XX company? XX company is the name of my company, and I'm the vice president, I admitted with a smile. His mouth swung wide open, and I could see a bead of sweat drip down his face. He started to panic, and he pretended to look over the document. No, that can't be right. My assistant must have made a mistake in the ordering of materials or something. Are you now making excuses? You just admitted to the mistake in the ordering. I didn't even say anything about that. We were trying to figure out what happened, and realized that there was a mistake in the order, since we suddenly couldn't get in touch with your company. We were planning to confirm it later, but now you've just confirmed it yourself. That statement and confession is all that I need. He put his hand up to his mouth, probably to try and keep himself from admitting anything else. No, it's too late now. And from what I heard on the phone, you seem to be the person responsible for this. You can't place your orders correctly, and you try to cover your mistakes. You can't even handle the construction schedule. It's safe to assume that a University of Tokyo graduate simply can't work well, the way you make it seem. Or do you still think you're just so smart? He immediately cut me off. Damn it! Why does my wife's company have to be the one better than mine? How is this even possible? Ugh, this is ridiculous. I am smart and capable because I graduated from the University of Tokyo. You know it! He cried to himself. I calmly replied, Well, I never thought of you as someone smart, I stated. Oh, come on. The look on his face makes me sick. I'm the vice president and handle the entire project. Therefore, I am stopping all transactions with your company and claim damages for this project. And on a different note, I will also be filing for divorce. I told him all 3 actions that were to take place. Please, anything but that. My husband, who was usually disrespectful, was now begging me with his palms together. What do you mean when you say anything but that? Any, and all of those things, all of them. My life will fall apart all at once. All of them. All of them? Then it's not just that one thing now, is it? I couldn't help but laugh at his incompetency this time. He watched me laugh at him and felt ashamed of himself. I no longer choose to be involved with such an incapable person, as a couple or a company. Just give up and walk away with your dignity, I advised. Then he realized he was out of options and clung to my leg. Was this his last attempt at trying to save himself? Please, don't leave me. Don't leave me. The high and mighty confident guy I once knew was now being the opposite. He was like a child being kicked out of his parents' home as punishment for bad behavior. I ignored him and made a phone call instead. Hi, President. I'll explain the details later, but I found the person responsible for that mishap on the project earlier. Yes, I'll be sure to claim the damages thoroughly. Okay, bye. After I hung up, he let go of my legs slowly and stared down at the floor. I wanted to go to bed, so I didn't say a word to him and headed to my bedroom and just left him there. The next day, when I woke up, my husband was nowhere to be found. Before I headed to work, I went to the courthouse to get the divorce paperwork. I got the documents I needed and kept them in my purse. I wanted to have him sign the papers after work. When I arrived at work, there was a dispute in front of the entrance. I saw Akinari and some men shouting, and I heard Akinari's voice over them. I'm so sorry. As soon as the president saw me coming, he said to me, "They've been here for 30 minutes and it's causing a disturbance." I decided to call the police after he said that. 10 minutes later, the police confronted my husband and the men. They were all shouting at once, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. The police gave them a stern warning, and they left. That night, Akinari came home looking defeated. Without a word, he signed the papers I presented him. Don't ever do something so embarrassing again. And he just continued signing the papers without saying a word. It was like he couldn't hear me. He was a broken man. I ensured that he signed all of the documents properly, and I left with my things already packed. I didn't say anything else to him. I decided to stay in a hotel until I could find a place for myself. The next day, I submitted all of the paperwork. From the beginning, our marriage never had any love at its core. So I wasn't sad, nor did I stress over it. I went to work as usual, and life went on. 2 weeks later, I hear that my ex-husband's company has filed for bankruptcy. Apparently, after paying all the damages to my company, there was not enough funding, and it was hard to manage any future projects for their company. As a result, the project leader, as you know, my ex-husband, was sued by the company. The president, my boss, told me everything. My ex-husband judged people based on their education and treated me like I was incompetent and incapable. But because of this, he ironically proved that someone's education doesn't matter. Yes, Japan still respects high education. There are still many jobs that require at least a bachelor's degree. But once you join a company, everyone is an equal. I think that whether you succeed depends on your resourcefulness and intentions, not just on your academic skills. Because of that, I reassure to myself that I don't care about a person's educational background. I don't think going to Harvard is particularly impressive. I think it just depends on how dedicated you are. Keeping that in mind, I will continue with my own dedication and intention, and I know that I will continue to succeed.